Welcome to the AbundaCulture channel. The Bible provides pathways to abundance. God is pleased when we succeed abundantly and share generously. AbundaCulture uses the family homestead as a platform to provide 5 basic needs: affordable housing, renewable energy, clean water, healthy food, and safe sanitation. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out our AbundaCulture.org website and download our free training manual.
Good morning. Today we're going to talk about the SIP planters. I've given you lots of information about the SIPs, sub-irrigated planters, in the past, but today I'd like to show you how they actually work. It's August 22nd here in Colorado at 6,000 feet. We've had a very cool spring and now we're into summer. I believe that the SIP planters offer one of the very best ways to have a garden in a harsh climate. Here where I'm at, the seasons are too short, the wind is too great, we have problems with hail, the soil is terrible, so we've got really nothing working for us except the wonderful sunlight that we have here in Colorado. We've been working with the SIPs for about 7 years, and we've honed them in. I think you'll be impressed with how well they work. I think you'll be impressed by how well the SIPs work. Here's our garden. Green pepper here. Down below, I've got some lettuce started, and that short one. One of the cherry varieties, actually this is a bell type tomato, yellow. Another pepper. Peppers do very well here in Colorado. And that is all one tomato plant. And this is what happens with the SIPs. The tomatoes really love them, and you get these huge, strong, healthy plants. And then I've got down here in between, you can see some carrots, and over here another batch of carrots. Over here I have 2 full-size SIPs. These are 55-gallon drums. They start out with 55-gallon drums. And you see I have the cover still on them. And this makes a ton of sense when you're raising tender plants that the squirrels and the birds like. Here I have spinach. Look at how full and beautiful that is. And it stays so tender when it's protected from the wind and the direct sun. These SIPs are made out, they're called natural color. They appear to be white, but they're actually translucent, so they act a bit like a greenhouse, and of course give us that protection. And here are carrots, beautiful things, all protected. I'll leave them in there pretty much. I'll leave the lids on until the plants become so large I have to remove the lids. Now I'm going to take some close-ups here and show you how these things are loaded up. It's kind of hard to see all the tomatoes there. Got a few ones that are red here. Look at how they're coming on here. Just tons of them. There you go. You can see the little guys coming on there. You can see a whole bundle of little guys down here, if I can get it on there. Yeah. Remember when we planted, if you go back to our YouTube presentation on planting, we amended the soil in a special way for tomatoes and peppers. You can go back and look at that if you like. That's one of the real advantages of the SIP. Here you have one container. Remember, we never use soil. We use 100% compost. People complain to me all the time. They say, my soil is terrible. Okay, forget it. make your own 100% compost and plant in that, and you won't have the problems that you have with soil. And in the SIP, you can amend that soil so that you can grow whatever it is that you want to grow in there in absolutely optimum conditions. Another little thing, you see I left the lid on this little SIP here. This is just a small portion. I cut it down. I'm going to take this lid off so you can see it. And they're just coming up. This is going to be a special lettuce. One of the things that happens here in our bright sunlight is that lettuce and spinach tends to bolt. But if I keep it covered, not only is it covered from insects and hail and wind, by keeping it covered, the plants remain very tender. Now over here, here's some lettuce that's more mature, and you see I've got a white cloth on there. You can go to the garden store and buy what they call garden cloth, which is a spun polyester. You can get it in different weights. Each one will let in a little different amount of sunlight. Again, this lettuce would have bolted a long time ago, and of course in the process it becomes very bitter. But this lettuce is just as sweet, and I've been picking it now for a couple of months. So there's a big advantage. I'll show you some pictures of this. Little yellow bells, little tomatoes. I don't plant full-size tomatoes here because we just don't have a long enough garden season. And therefore, I stick with the small varieties, fast growing. Another big advantage of the SIP is the watering system. Remember, in the SIP, you pour the water into the fill tube. Let me see if I can show you the fill tube here. There's the fill tube, if you can see it where my hand is. You fill that up. When the water begins to run out of the weep hole, which is that hole right there, you're done. There's no need to give it any more water. This saves 50 to 75% on your water. Here in Colorado, water is very valuable, and that's a very good thing. In so many places I go, folks just don't have the amount of water that they need, where they need it, and when they need it. These have been watered pretty much with the rinse water from my kitchen sink. It doesn't have very much soap in it, and it works just fine. I'll show you some of those beautiful little red cherries. Ah, yes, there they are. And we're picking off lots and lots of little tomatoes now. The other thing that you can know about the SIPs, as I said, you can amend them. In other words, put in what the plants need. In all of these plants, I use urine and water as a fertilizer, and it works wonderfully for these particular plants. You can go to the AbundaCulture training manual, and you can learn all about using different types of fertilizers. And the urine and water works particularly well. Please follow the instructions very carefully. When you put the fertilizer on and how you mix the fertilizer makes a big difference. We've had, one of the reasons these plants are so big and beautiful is because they've been fertilized with urine. So there you are, a few reasons to use the SIPs. These are the kind of plants that I get typically. This one here is over 6 feet tall and loaded. I want to encourage you, I know it takes a little time to build the SIP. It's worthwhile, and from that point forward, once you get it built, it takes you about 10 minutes in the spring to clean it up and plant it, and you're good to go. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. I hope that you'll give the SIPs a try. You won't be disappointed. Keep your hands in the dirt and your eyes on Jesus.
We're all in a master plan. Though the things we do are just grains of sand, when these things are touched by the master's hand,